Welcome, what is up? Thank you for tuning back into the Chaos Lair. Of course, I'm Chris Chaos here with the 411 Extreme Rules editions. Now, first off, before I get started, I'm going to go a little outside of the box, and I don't normally do this, but I got to say congratulations to my Florida Gators and a big chomp for making it the Florida Gators softball team, which I am a huge college softball fan, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. For them making it back to the championship series that starts tomorrow night on ESPN, they're going against Oklahoma, which means me and Jim Ross are now in a feud. Yes, for the next 3 nights, most likely, because it's a best 2 out of 3, and with a game every night, me and him are likely in a 3-day feud. So we'll see who gets the nod there. On to what we all want to see. Extreme Rules had its good moments, but it had a fair amount of bad moments. For me, C. If I'm giving it a grade, a C. That is my grade. Let me just run through what happened, and then I wrote some notes down, as you can see on my little thing. Just things that I needed, and before I even get started there, because I don't have it written down, I want to get this out. Guys have stopped using other guys' moves. Like, for instance, in the first match, Dean and Miz, which I am watching right now, and if I could show it to you, I would. The Miz is working the figure 4 leg lock, and and Dean reaches and grabs rope. But they really used the figure 4 back and forth, and then flip it over to the submission match. Out of all of the submissions that could be used, Austin Aries pulls out a figure 4. Just off the top of my head, I can think of 5 submission moves that could be used. I mean, you got the half crab, the full crab, you got the Texas cloverleaf, which I have always loved, by the way, and I used when I wrestled a lot, by the way, a lot. You could have done, even the spinning toe hold would have been different, because it's old school. You could have done, what was the one I was just thinking about? The Indian Deathlock, which is another one that I used when I was wrestling, because I had a vast knowledge, and even the vast knowledges fall apart. But then Rich Swann hits the Phoenix Splash. Seth Rollins goes for it again and doesn't hit it. Which, I mean, both guys, Rollins and... I don't know that Rollins hit the Sling Blade, but Finn did. I mean, guys have got to stop using each other's moves. And especially on like a pay-per-view. Match 5, because the submission match was match 5. They need to know what went on in match 1. The guys that are in matches 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 need to watch 1. And then 6, 5, 4, 3 needs to watch 2. And so on. Everybody, if you're main event, you need to watch all the matches. You need to, I know you're still probably trying to put stuff together, but you got to know what's going on. Because if match 1 uses a figure 4 and uses it more than once, and then you use it in match 5, there's a problem. Because now, all of a sudden, you're not creative enough to come up with something that we haven't already seen. We just saw that earlier in the night. Matter of fact, I don't love people stealing other people's finishing moves. Now, Seth used to do the Phoenix Splash for a long time, and then Rich started doing it. In that instance, I would say Rich probably needs to find something different, but Rich is a cruiserweight, and that move is expected out of a cruiserweight, not out of someone that's in the main event that's going for one of the big titles, that's, not a cruiserweight. I digress. It's all about ring psychology, and that's just a little bit part of it, and I'll get into a little bit more of it. The Miz defeats Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. Rich Swann and Sasha Banks break the hometown curse, if you watch Raw Talk. They mentioned that over Noam Dar and Foxy. The kendo stick for the women's kendo stick on a pole match for the women's title. Alexa beat Bayley. The tag titles, Cesaro and Sheamus defeated the Hardys to win the titles. Neville retained in the submission match over Austin Aries. And because I don't have it written right here, but I just know Samoa Joe didn't submit, but made Finn Balor pass out in the Coquina Clutch. I can't. That move. Fuck it. I'm done. First off, great psychology by Miz and Dean in the first match, and kudos for not having them have Maurice be the be-all, end-all as to why Miz won the title. Miz needed to win the title on his own and didn't need to use the stipulation. Even though the stipulation is there, it's just something you kind of use as a crutch to get to where you're going. You know, it's not the be-all, end-all of what it is. Number two, I'm glad that Alicia Fox had a pay-per-view match, and a kind of a meaningful one. I mean, it was kind of a storyline, as some people would say. It's like a C or D storyline. You know, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a big enough deal that we're going to put it on a pay-per-view, just to fill a little bit of time. And for Rich to get a good pop in Charm City, however, I have a problem with the crowd because they didn't pop until JoJo said, and from, and you could hear it, you could hear a little bit, and then she said, Baltimore, Maryland, yay! He's one of us! They should have popped. They should have known this information, and they should have popped just as soon as his music hit. And then they should have crescendoed when he came out. Or maybe crescendoed when he was introduced as from Baltimore. Anyway. Number three, the women's title match was way too short. And it was way too one-sided. I get the psychology and the story that they're trying to tell here. Bayley doesn't have it in her. Bayley can't do it. She can't step up to that next level. She doesn't have it in her. She's a great athlete, but she can't do whatever it takes to get the job done. That's a great story. It's been told 100,000 times. It's always good. The problem is, whichever agent has been in charge of this storyline, this should have been fantastic, and it failed. This match, for me, failed. It absolutely failed. Because I think Bayley should have gotten a shot in with the kendo stick, but as soon as she got in the shot, Lexi should have powdered, should have, sell, and then all of a sudden, you know, Bayley starts chasing her, she goes around, Alexa has a kendo stick hidden somewhere, she pulls it out, bam, right in the stomach, and then she takes back over, and, you know, that other kendo stick is not seen again. Alexa beats her down. Then it's a little bit better. I would have given it, just for that, I would have given it like a B. And B's get degrees. Trust me, I know. By the way, D's get degrees because I know fucking biology. Anyway, number four, the cage match was really good. I called all of it. I basically called all of it except for the finish. And I'm still waiting on Vince to send me my check. What did you call? I'll tell you. First off, I called that it was going to be a cage match. That's number one. Go back and look at my tweets during Raw. This is why I live tweet Raw. At the Answer Cast. I tweeted out that it was going to be a cage match. That's how I should. And then I also tweeted right after that wasn't announced until right before the match, that this match was going to be an escape match, and that both members of the team had to escape. Because that is a big detail. That is a huge detail to have into this match. And it was fantastic, and I love that they done it. I'm just pissed that they're taking my ideas. And then I said, well, Jeff should just climb out. They should have a spot where Jeff climbs out, and he's out, but Sheamus and Cesaro are both still in there on mat, because that's good heat. That's really good heat. And then Jeff comes back in. it happened. And then I thought, this is how Matt Hardy becomes broken Matt Hardy again. Which still might happen because Jeff goes up and does his little spot monkey flip. I only call it a spot monkey flip because that's what Broken Matt called it. Come on, stay with me, people. Anyway, Sheamus and Cesaro are a really good tag team and are really meshing well. Them turning heel was key for this to happen. Had they still been babyface, it wouldn't be not nearly as effective as it is with them being heel. So I very much approve of it. Number 5, the Cruiserweight title match was too long. It was too drawn out, and the crowd lets you know because they were not into it. The WWE has done a lot of good things with the Cruiserweights. First and foremost, even just having a Cruiserweight division again is fantastic. Okay? Hats off. I love the Cruiserweight Classic. I love them having their own show. The problem is, and I've said this for a long time, they don't need to have the show live right after SmackDown taping on Tuesday night. Because this... Think back into the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was good because they had a little bit of everything sprinkled in. And that's good. And it worked. They're doing a little too much with the Cruiserweights. You know, they're wanting to make a whole division, and that's fine. But then they sign a whole bunch of people and bring them back from the tournament, and then they sign others, and it's just too much. It's too much. Do I think they need to have a weekly show? You know what? I'm fine with it. It needs to happen at Full Sail. It doesn't need to happen in a huge building because it needs that small building feel, just like NXT does. Now, I'm not against them being on Raw. One match a week dedicated to the Cruiserweights. I'm fine. Whatever it could be for a title, it could be for, or a title storyline, or it could be a tag match, a 6-man. I'm fine with it. Just to feature them in one segment, one match. Could be 2 segments. Up to 2 segments. Back-to-back segments, by the way. Not one here and one here. That would be fine. But they have them in multiple segments like they have, and then for them to have that show on Tuesday night after SmackDown, which, by the way, I think they got the hint on, and I don't think they're going to be doing that for very much longer. That's just what I feel from people I've talked to and things that I've read online. I really get the sense that that's not gonna happen for very much longer, and I hope it's not. Like I said, the smaller atmospheres and the smaller buildings work better for this. The 5-way surprised me. I still think, and I will say until the death of me, that matches like this need to be elimination match because it's more exciting. Who's going to get beat first? See, the WWE thinks that with it being one fall, it's way more exciting. But it's not. It's really not. As a fan, I really enjoyed being witness to a match where you're going to start off with 5 guys, but we're only going to have one at the end. Because this guy's going to get eliminated, and then this guy's going to get eliminated, and that guy's going to get eliminated. And then it's like at the beginning of the match, Roman was just kind of walking around just like he ain't got nobody to fight. Because there shouldn't be 5 men, and that's dumb. You got to keep the law of averages in your favor. And 5, or the law of evens, if you will, and 5's not an even number. So it was just bad all the way around. If I was going to take anybody out of the match, it probably would have been Seth or Finn. Now, the problem is that Braun got hurt, and that's probably why Roman was in the match, just to be honest with you. Because they were probably going to have another match tonight, but then when Braun got injured, you just have to thrust Roman into it. There's no other way around it. But then again, Undertaker, Roman Reigns can say he beat The Undertaker, so there you go. The match was really good. I was expecting finishers out of nowhere from everybody to end the match in the last minute, 2 minutes of the match. That didn't happen. We saw a couple of them in the course of it. Roman Spear, Seth's frog splash onto the table, which was a fantastic spot. However, Seth, aka CrossFit Jesus, needs to remember that when you're making that leap, you need to do it like Shane McMahon done it. Because Shane knows how to take that leap. You don't jump. See, the ropes come together. And there's a turnbuckle. And then there's this little stanchion that helps it give the spring. But that doesn't give you the spring. The ropes actually gives you the spring. That just goes down a little bit to help you... to help give the ropes the flexibility that they need. They don't really flex. It's just pieces of metal that you're standing on. I mean, it's configured in a way that it moves, but it's not good to jump off of. So, basically, he was jumping off of one leg. Which makes it even more impressive that he did what he did. The problem is, he didn't land as smoothly as he could have. So, next time, my advice, and I know he's going to look back at this and not need my advice. He's going to know, and he probably knew as soon as he hit his fucking knee on that damn table, I got to jump off the ropes to get there. Because it's not working jumping off with just one foot on the rope. After all said and done, Samoa Joe goes in to the next pay-per-view, which, by the way, I will not mention. I will not mention the name of the next pay-per-view at all. He's going against Brock for the red title. I will, however, make the suggestion that I think the internet wrestling community, who I have bashed in the past, and rightfully so, most of them, there's a lot of them I'm friends with. Those are the ones I choose not to bash. I think that the hashtag for the next pay-per-view needs to be #balls. It just does. #balls. Think about how funny that would be if #balls was trending worldwide. And you went to Twitter and it said #balls. WWE Balls pay-per-view. How phenomenal would that be? Think about it. Just let it marinate a little bit. I give you nothing but gold. I promise you. Now, for those of you that watched all of this 18-minute video, I apologize that it got this long, but there's just a lot I had to get off my chest. For those of you that started watching and then once I started putting over Florida stopped, suck it. Okay? And for the rest of you, too sweet because you guys are awesome. Now, that's all I've got right now. 411 Raw Edition will be up tomorrow night. I will also, here in a little bit, I will discuss because I didn't do a 411 for SmackDown last week, I will give my complete thoughts on the SmackDown pay-per-view, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up with the women's ladder match in it. Very, very, very interesting. And some of the others' thoughts about it. But anyway, I digress. I will see you guys later. Deuces as always. Chaos